Hi, everyone. I'm going to just dive in. Um, Tonight's call is going to be about our feeler. So, that part of us that we identify as ever changing. And I call it the feeler uh, as opposed to our feelings or just feelings in general, because what we're really trying to do in this work is to create distance between our seeing and our feeling that keeps us from identifying as what we see or as what we feel. I hope that makes sense. And just to kind of recap, our seer is the part of us that is never changing. It is the part of us that represents pure consciousness and that we identify with as the masculine or Shiva or Purusha, known in the Vedic scriptures. And so this is the truth that is infinite. It is the witness. It is the pure consciousness. It is the alpha. And then the feeler is also the truth, but it is the truth that is ever changing. The Shakti, the life force energy, the cycles of life, the seasons, astrology, death, life, rebirth. All of these cyclical, ever changing experiences that consciousness brings about, that is held in the consciousness, that is animated in the consciousness. Life itself, this planet Earth, feminine energy, Omega, the part of us that is always changing, the feeler. And today we're going to explore a little bit more about the feeler, because this is really a big basis of my personal work and of a lot of work in the polarity space. And this is typically the part of us that is the most afraid that we're going to ruin our relationship or ruin our lives or ruin things, right? So you can kind of show me by raising your hand if you can relate to that, if you've ever felt that sharing your true feelings would ruin a relationship or weren't welcome in a relationship. True feelings not always feeling welcome. Yeah, you're late. If you got to see the replay of the first call, but essentially the topic of tonight is working with our relationship with our feeler, the part of us that is always changing, the part of us that is the omega or the feminine aspect, and how it relates with the alpha or the part of us that never changes, the witness, the masculine consciousness. And I was just touching on how the feeler is such a prominent part of our world and our lives, but it is also the part of us that we fear will ruin our relationships. It is the part of us that we are the most afraid to typically express. And often it's the part of us that gets walled down, stuffed down, and is told that it's too much. And I was just asking if anyone's ever felt that their feelings were unwelcome in their relationship. And it seems pretty unanimous that we've all felt that our feelings were not welcome from time to time. So I like to work with feelings using, and a lot of my work is metaphorical, and all of Tantra is really a metaphor for working with the elements in nature and how we're connected to these elements in nature. And so, as feelers or as in this feminine or omega part of us, we're often really connected with the earth, and we really connect to the element of water in the omega. And these parts of ourselves are so congruent with the elemental wisdom that's available to us if we really explore those in a somatic way. So when we think about feelings and these aspects of the water element and the earth element, this water element is really best when when it's used to purify, to get clarity, right? When it's seen as an attempt to wash away what's keeping connection, wash away what's separating us from love, and to have us see more clearly, and to have us release that which is burdening us and needs to be purified. Because, like water, our feelings can really cleanse us and purify us and give us clarity, or they can completely consume and drown us. And really, feelings are the thing that can pull us the closest together with our partner or pull us the furthest away from our partners. And when we're unskillful as feelers and how we express feelings, it can create a lot of distance. But when we're expressing our feelings without blame, with vulnerability, with sensitivity to timing, with a certain amount of self-responsibility prior to bringing those feelings to our partner, can really create the very glue that not only binds us into a deeper intimacy, but actually stokes a lot of sexual fire. It can really purify the union that we're in. And often, when an omega partner or the feminine oriented partner is in a lot of emotion and brings these to her alpha masculine partner, um, for him, it can be received as an attack. And for her, it can be an attempt for closeness. And when he perceives this as an attack, shuts down, it is very similar to her being told that she is irrelevant in some way, that her very essence is a burden or is too much not to be taken seriously, right? And men may relate to this, and a lot of spiritual teachers talk about this, a lot of polarity teachers talk about this, is that when a man feels his opinions are dismissed or are told are silly and stupid, that type of cutting feeling that a man feels because he feels his identity is very much connected to his opinions, his important opinions. And when a woman says that's stupid, right? It's very similar to how a woman feels when a man says that's crazy about her feelings. So trying to make that connection. When a woman's feelings are rejected, it's the same as when a man feels his opinions are rejected. And I don't mean just like not agreeing with, I mean like really rejecting. And our ability to feel received as women as feelers by men with our emotions, in our emotions, really is the ground that gets built for our safety. It creates a lot of safety and a lot of feeling that we are completely held, because it's so intricately a part of our reality to have these waves of emotion and to be able to express them and have just like the banks of a river and where this water kind of erupting through it. And we want to be able to feel where those banks of the river are holding us, right? And so when a man can create and receive our emotions in a steady, containing way like this, it helps us feel like he is trustworthy. We really start to open sexually, knowing that we're safe with all of who we are. We bring more to our masculine partner from spaces of vulnerability than of desperation and draining energy. When we feel that this is a safe space, we typically become less needy and less emotional because we know that when it's really important that we will have that safe space. And oftentimes when women don't feel that, we will come with different strategies to get that met. We'll keep repeating the same topic. We'll not feel resolved in something that he feels was resolved because we didn't feel met fully in the face of our masculine partner. We will start to lose sexual attraction. Our bodies will start to close up, and it won't even be something that we're consciously choosing. It's like men will think like we're punishing, but our bodies actually physically start to close and numb up to that type of openness with our orgasm, that type of openness to his penetration, because we don't feel emotionally connected to him enough. And emotional connection is so linked to our sexual connection as embodied feminine women. So does that make sense to everyone? Is everyone feeling with me? So every feeling really could create a bond or it can break a bond. And what it really comes down to is how we use our feelings, how we express our feelings. And oftentimes we've been confused that feeling is actually reacting. A lot of us make that very big misconception. And we believe that what feeling is our initial response to something. And I'll wait for Jace to join us. Hi, Jace. And so what a feeling is not a reaction. In fact, a reaction, and I want you to really take this in the next time you feel like this, you want to respond. A reaction is actually a contraction away from feeling. It's an impulsive response to try to avoid the difficult feeling that is coming up. It is not feeling. It is resisting feeling. Okay? It's a contraction away. And when we try to avoid or deny a feeling or put it on someone else's lap for them to fix, then we're really staying in a very infantilized way of being. And so when we bring a feeling to our partner with this desire for them to fix it, with this desire for them to do something, that is a reaction. That is a contraction. That is not actually processing a feeling. When we are asking our partner to process our feelings for us, we are staying juvenile emotionally. And it's really easy to do that because most of us have been trained that this is how partnership works, right? I don't like something that's happening and I bring it to you, and you love me enough to stop everything you're doing and be my mom or my dad. But our partners aren't our parents. And what reunion is about is reuniting with the mother and the father, God, inside of us, as us, and to reparent ourselves. And to then bring that feeling, full feeling, and allow our partner to witness it without shame or blame. And to show it to them without shaming or blaming them. our blaming, our shaming, our contracting away from our feelings, when they become too overwhelming, when we filter our feeling instead through the consciousness of our heart, we have a new way of using feelings as a gift to our partner. Our feelings start to create such a safe space where all of us is welcome, where we can be completely naked emotionally, that invites our partner to feel safe to do the same. And it calibrates us closer. It alchemizes all of this darkness, all of these perceived imperfections, all of these things that make us feel so out of control and scared. And it helps our partner lean closer and want to have a deeper understanding of our internal world. And this may seem a little controversial, I know, because what I'm essentially saying, maybe without overtly saying it, is that in spite of feeling, we can actually control what we're feeling. And a lot of people may not agree with that. I can't control what I'm feeling. In this work, myself included, like I've woken up still to this day on days and felt like super depressed, super bummed. And I've thought to myself, if I could control this, I would definitely not feel so bummed. But what I'm really alluding to is this idea of being able to surrender and to go beneath the surface of what we're feeling and to take our hardest feelings as invitations to disidentify as that feeling and to instead get on the river raft in this water and notice where it's taking us, to go into the depths of this water, to go underneath all of these perceived watery, sad feelings, to the depth of the ocean floor as a prayer, as a way of making us deeply connected with our inner world without identifying as our inner world. Trusting and surrendering to this feeling in the present moment. And when we find ourselves controlling and unable to surrender, we actually feel more suffering. We can't find the natural joy that is available to us in every moment when we just become curious about our feeling. To accept the deepest, most uncomfortable, unpleasant emotion. Knowing, as masterful lovers that you are, that your ability to work with that most uncomfortable, painful, deep, sharp emotion is equal to your ability to create and hold the most orgasmic, blissful, ecstatic feeling in your body between you and your partner. This is the law of polarity in nature. Everything has its equal opposite. Only when we can open ourselves to both of the extremes and be part of the true reality that's available do we have the access to this emotional range. Do we have this maturity, this spiritual maturity? And what many of us find ourselves doing is that instead of being in this big range, we play here. We stay numb, we stay on our devices, we stay in our habits. In this middle place where there's not really a lot of courage, there's really not a lot of heightened peaks and valleys. And we contract away from the full range of our emotional experience. We contract away from the full range of our relationship experience. We shrink, we shut down, we reach for addictions, we reach for easy dopamine hits on our phones. And those really don't last for very long. Those little hits, they're like little putting a band-aid on a broken leg, right? Because our emotions, our big emotions will come out one way or another. They'll force their way out, and oftentimes at the expense of what we're really trying to build. When we have an uncultivated and shame-based relationship with our feeler, the feeler inside of us and the feeler in our partner, we will have bad relationships with others. And what makes feeling hurt so much and so uncomfortable, I touched on it a little bit, is the avoiding, is the resistance, is the contraction, is the judgment of the feeling. Somewhere along the line, probably when we were younger, all of us as kids were told that feeling deeply made us inconvenient. Made other people uncomfortable, typically our caregivers. So we have this very deep unconscious story inside, internally, unconsciously, that feeling, fill in the blank, isn't good. Feeling rage, feeling anger, feeling jealous, feeling prideful, feeling violent, feeling hateful. And for some of us, that feeling those things would make us go to hell. So I'm going to just focus on showing and feeling and expressing these types of good feelings. And any feeling that comes up that isn't happy, grateful, devoted, you put fill in the blank. Any feeling that isn't that is going to be denied, avoided, judged, not tolerated. I will wear a mask. Right? And so what happens when we start doing that? What happens when that becomes our practice? When hiding, shaming, wearing masks, contracting becomes a practice. There has to always be an outcome for that, right? We either find ourselves in situations where we can't understand why we are so unhappy, and that we are surrounded by people where we simply do not feel like we belong or that there's a true connection there. Whether in our careers, with our friend group, in our church. And if you look at it from a very literal place, what happens when you're doing yoga and you contract? Or you're lifting weights at the gym and suddenly you contract. You lose your balance, you lose your center, you stop breathing, you guard your body. And that's what we physically do when we contract in the face of our partner, in the face of our feeler. We guard our bodies, we grip, we force, we hurt ourselves, we deny, we close down, we shut down our central channel, we lose our balance. These responses to our feelings and these ideas that we have around our feelings is what makes feeling equate to being something awful and something we have to avoid. And so one of the key, if one of the main key components of walking a spiritual path with our true nature, with the truth of our highest potential, is to become alchemists and to use all of these stimulations that we've been given and blessed with as sacred, the dark and the light. We see God in everything. We see even the most hateful emotion as wisdom. We approach it the way God would approach it, with loving eyes, like an innocent child, like we are looking at an innocent child, with a deep, deep belief that what we are willing to hold space for and feel completely can resolve completely. The deeper we are willing to become curious and compassionate about what's living inside of our inner world truthfully, with our seer, lovingly observing our feeler, and telling ourselves whatever it is we're telling ourselves, and being able to stay unattached to that story, with our seer observing the feeler. And whether that story is I'm too much, I'm not enough, nobody likes me, we can observe it from a compassionate, seeing place without becoming identified as that feeling. We can start to resolve the feeling that is moving through us and allow what's coming up to just be a present moment energy that doesn't have to identify as us. And when we masterfully see, we can see and hold our feeler and say, oh, I see in our solo practice a feeling of sadness moving through me. Instead of locking into, I am sad, I am depressed, I am this. I am is one of the most powerful sentences you can say, because the universe only knows yes. So if we say, I am broke, I am sad, the universe goes, okay, and keeps giving you more of that. So we're really shifting our perspective here to just observe what's moving through us. Instead of getting lost in unskillful seeing and feeling, we start to rise above it. We start to see the feeler and recognize the one who is feeling and the feeling as separate. And so, what I'd really love to do is to practice this and to just drop into a little meditation so we can track some of this and then come back and, explain and listen to each other and what maybe you experienced. And to just start implementing this into our lives more as becoming more skillful with our feeling. So I just want to come into a comfortable position, one that would support you, even if you have to step away from the screen. You can come into like a yoga posture or like a cat cow or anything that really feels like you can kind of drop out of your mind and into your body. Standing, laying down, anything is fine. And once you find your position, just allow your body to start moving a little bit. To start kind of sensing a vibration. Start kind of letting yourself intuitively like unravel. Like, kind of like if you were one of those like balloons, those funny balloons that they put outside of gas stations, if you could just kind of like let your body like move and shake and spaz out. You can bend over. You can just imagine like that you are water, that you're just like this gooey, kind of floaty, pouring material. Imagine you are whatever kind of body of water feels right for you. It can be a river, it can be the ocean, it can be a stream, and this, can kind of feel a little bit self conscious. It can be a raging river, it can be a waterfall, whatever type of water at this moment just feels like it's rippling through your body, giving you some sort of a pulsing rhythm that you allow and invite. And you can start inviting it through your breath. You can invite it through your fingers and toes if you can't quite feel it in your spine yet. You can kind of invite it in your neck, in your throat. And just let yourself really become this river moving as your experience with closed eyes, being curious of your inner world. And taking this moment as you breathe and just get curious to drop any stories, any self consciousness, and just really focus on the sensations of hot or coolness in your body, things that feel hard or soft, like edges that you have to move around, spaces that feel stagnant or opened, the pulsing, the color, the shape of this water, where it's rushing, where it's stopped. Maybe there's temperature, whatever's arising. And I want you to choose as you observe these sensations and emotions any intention for how you would like to connect with your feeling over the next few days, over the next month, or until we see each other again, such that it helps cultivate this omega sensitivity aspect of you and this relationship with your feeler, your feeling self, and how it can become a gift to yourself and to the others around you. How it is a gift rather than a burden. That when you're feeling something, you're able to remember this practice of this water and feel your contractions and feel your reactions and instead move and observe the feeling as material in your body, as water, and as it arises with the curiosity and compassion you have for yourself, the curiosity and the love you have around the sensitive parts of you without rejecting and dismissing them, without rejecting and dismissing what's arising and needing your attention. And to see this information as a wisdom that can serve you and serve others as gifts. How can this sensitive part of you be so inviting in such a safe, warm space for water to flow? And so I want you to observe in this present moment, whatever you're feeling, and remembering that numbness, dullness, disassociation, resistance, these are all feelings too. Not wanting to be here, thinking about your to-do list or dinner, right? It's okay. Just noticing. It doesn't have to be some overwhelming anger or rage, although that can be there too. But feeling apathy, feeling anxiousness, feeling excitement, feeling numbness. And just identifying this sensitivity and calling on your seer now to witness as this alpha part of you, witnessing quietly in yourself these feelings, calling your seer now as this witness. And to just remember the feeling comes in different ways: sensations, temperature, pressure, coolness, tightness, calmness. Also emotions. Feelings come as emotions. And so allow your seer to just scan your body and your inner world and notice whether your feeler is coming in the form of a sensation or as an emotion. Which is more dominant? And don't judge any of what you're feeling, it's all perfect. And if you've chosen emotion, I'd like you to notice as you stay in this seer, if you see that there's a sensation attached to that emotion. And if you have first noticed a sensation, like I notice the breeze on my skin or tightness in my belly, see if there's an emotion flowing beneath that. I see anger flowing through my heart. Just giving your seer permission to notice what your feeler is doing, to animate your body. Quietly, it's usually quite quiet. And how that flows without getting stuck in the mind and analyzing it, right? But letting emotion be revealed to you, letting it move you, quite literally like this water, continuing to see even more, widening your awareness now to see if there are different sensations and emotions going on. Feelings of wanting to escape this moment. Sensations of your skin crawling. Seeing if you can choose even just one more sensation or emotion that you haven't named or seen as you continue to widen your awareness. I see you. Saying this internally, I see. There is a feeling. There are sensations. They are ever changing with every breath. And often there'll be a loud one, like the loudest, most urgent one that wants the most attention. And as we widen our awareness, and our sensitivity to the scope of the feeling as they happen and unfold in every moment, this awareness alone makes you very skillful with feeling. Takes you away from identifying with one single thing and letting yourself be the entire world, part of the whole, witnessing your experience as an observer rather than as the attacher. So I'm going to be quiet for another moment, and I want you to widen your awareness to multiple things that are present in your sensorial experience, in your emotional experience, as you move and navigate through different places in your body. And when you identify a sensation, see if you can identify an emotion that's attached to it without judgment. And when you identify an emotion, see if you can attach to a sensation, if you can identify one. If you've been noticing the temperature of the air on your skin, what do you notice as an emotion? If you notice tightness in the back of your throat, where is there an emotion? If you notice anger in your belly, what do you notice as a sensation? If you notice something happening inside of you, widen your awareness to notice. And sometimes a feeling is a collective sensation. Town you're in right now, the home you live in, the dynamic of the people you live with. It can be a response or a connection to the bigger world outside of you, not just inside. Maybe you're feeling or carrying something that isn't even yours, that was projected by a coworker or one of the moms at school. Can you make the distinction between what is yours and what is just in the collective? What is yours and what is just in the dynamic you've been in today? You could be really granular with this and expanded by this to widen your sensitivity such that you're able to access beyond what you habitually do and say and think and judge, and to just notice and observe the very present moment of your breath, the thoughts that are arising, the curiosity, the words, their harshness or their invitations, their judgments or their compassion. And I'd like for you to just now notice your breath and take a deep, slow, conscious inhale to the lowest part of your belly. And notice how this widens and expands your ability to relax into your feeling. Breath always deepens. That's why it's such an important part of our practice. And allow this breath to just continue to move you if you've stopped moving. Feeling into this flow of water that you are. This is why we often find ourselves holding our breath and gripping when there is emotional intensity. So, really opening our skill as seers and feelers to breathe and unguard our body, uncross our arms, soften from the clavicle all the way down to our sex organs, having an expanded belly like a balloon on the inhale, and just observing as you breathe whatever's moving, and continue to invite yourself to stay with it, to make all of it known, even if it's a bit uncomfortable. Be in the gratitude and curiosity with this water of emotion moving through you, dancing with your sensation. You're doing great. There can be some sadness, and just seeing how this sadness wants to dance in your body. There could be grief that you're allowing yourself to take on the movement and the shape of. This is how we can truly use our feeling as a gift to ourselves and our partners. It can be excitement and fun, and you're letting your muscles and your tissues and your fibers of your body just be imprinted with all that you are feeling in this moment. And it seems so counterintuitive to show our feelings in our body and that this would detach us from it. But that's exactly what it does. When we move our feelings through our bodies, the most primal, innocent, and effective way to allow them to be released and not attached to. This is why deer shake when they're almost hit by a truck, and our dogs shake, and our cats shake, and our kids have tantrums. They know what really dislodges emotion from becoming toxic. And we're told and shamed from very young ages when we practice this way and we express this way and we learn to shove it down, and we get sick. And we get unconscious. So in this space, I want to invite you to be free, to let it go and let it fly, and understand that none of it is meant to be clung to. It's meant to be released. And as we practice feeling completely, what we feel deeply can resolve completely. Inviting yourself into this idea that you no longer need to control, that you just need to breathe, be with, move with the aliveness of these emotions without judging them as they come and ripple off your body like the waves at the shore. Letting your arms come off your body, letting the expression of your feet tingle through your toes, stirring your hips, noticing the river and the constant change that is part of the truth of being a human being. Our tides are not meant to be stagnant. We're constantly stirring, constantly becoming the next moment and the next moment. When we do this with a soft, surrendered, full, deep breath and body, even the toughest feelings will then open our hearts and stir and spark a fire, allowing us to create love, alchemizing everything into love. And you start to create such a trustworthy relationship that anything that happens within this type of field of awareness can be witnessed and seen and held and alchemized into intimacy, sexual fire, chemistry. the safest container that amplifies our life force, that is the very source of our power. And when I say power, what I mean is our highest alignment to conscious love and conscious truth. Our willingness to go there. Your complete ability to be obliterated and to surrender into the deepest present moment available, where love and truth are here without control, without shame. Imagine being in such a moment with your partner when you feel safe to surrender in this way, because you're not judging yourself for having feelings. They're not judging you. And when you allow yourself to see yourself without judgment and to just track your feelings without judgment, you are then able to be the father and mother you never had and needed to have. And you'll be able to do this, and then you'll be able to do this in front of your partner and for your partner. And they will feel safer to surrender in this way, softening their heart, softening their body, knowing that this type of understanding purifies, bringing us back into the alchemy of our divine, sensual selves. And so just placing a hand on your heart and on your belly, and remembering this flow of water within you, this experience of your deepest self as a new reflection that you can carry with you when you feel you're drowning in a sea of your own emotion or your partner, and starting to dance with and move with and swim and express gracefully. And when you're ready, bringing your hands to prayer pose and bowing to yourself deeply, opening your eyes when you're ready. And so just to kind of recap, this is something that's ever evolving. It's a lifelong commitment to our path as skillful, masterful lovers. And our desire to do that comes from being skillful seers and feelers. And when I say seer, I'm talking about pure consciousness and awareness that is filtered through compassion and the heart, with a depth of witnessing without judgment. And when I talk about becoming a skillful feeler, I mean being able to track our emotions and allow ourselves to feel the depths of them without denying them, shutting them down, stuffing them down, and to be with these sensitivities and this most sensitive part of ourselves, such that we can hold ourselves and all of our ever-changing emotions that are part of the human experience and our partner's experience without judging. And how beautifully these work together. When we look specifically at the feeler, we have to bring the seer into witnessing that. And a great way to do that is to look at what we are trying to control. What am I trying to control? And to stop controlling and contracting, and to start allowing and inviting. And some great questions are, what is this feeling trying to tell me? What is this feeling telling me I need right now? It could be reassurance. It could be a deep breath. It could be something to eat. It could be a hug. It could be to remember that I'm a good person. It could be to remember that something like this hurt me before, but that I'm okay now. What is this feeling reminding me of? And how can I see myself and track this feeling through my body, being super curious about it without judging it? How can I give myself full permission to animate and express this feeling through my body with full ownership of it without throwing it like a hot potato onto my partner to fix? How can I let it completely take me over physically? Sometimes to the point that it feels like a train hit me with it, that I could become destroyed by it, that I could become consumed by it. That's the biggest fear. That if we feel it, we'll become consumed by it. But it's actually the opposite. If we don't, we become consumed. It just comes out in distorted ways. So we really have to ask, where am I resisting allowing myself to let this feeling completely obliterate and open me up and wash over me like a crashing wave and let it? Because all of us at one point in our lives were told that if we did that, we would never recover. If we do that, we'll become destroyed. All of us have some sort of conscious or unconscious story like that. And we feel like if we kick and scream and yell and punch that we're out of control. And what I'm here to say is that when we actually do that, we surrender to something bigger that gives us so much more power and authenticity and truth and more capacity for love and compassion than holding it in ever could, ever does. We've gotten it all wrong. We've taught our kids this thing all wrong. The best thing I do for my niece and nephews is when they're in a bad mood, ask them if they're angry and get down on the floor and punch stuff and scream with them. And telling them that that's good, that it's okay. So become more alive with your feeling, breathe with your feeling, connect with it. This is what we're really doing. This is really divine union, a reunion in our inner world between our seer and our feeler. We see the feeling, we track it, we feel it, we allow it. We notice it in our wrists, we notice it in our voice. We let it out. We do this with our partner. Feeling then becomes a gift. When we show up feeling shame about what we're feeling, then our partner also feels that. And we try to make it smaller and kind of half apologize or blame, or we need them to fix it. Or we even have the idea that feelings are needing to be fixed. They're not needing to be fixed, they're needing to be felt. They're needing to be allowed and invited. When we come with that narrative and that story that feelings need to be fixed, either by ourselves or by them, it's no longer a gift. We create a dynamic in our relationship where feeling isn't allowed and it's a shameful expression. And we're taught, especially as women, to be constantly in a state of, to be a feminine woman is meaning that we have to be in a constant state of happy, horny, or, completely self-repressed from negativity in some way. And what we miss is that when we don't show our partners this full spectrum, it actually doesn't give them access to be fully inside of us. When we show our partners that we accept our feeling, as messy as it is, we accept our mess and we unravel in that mess in front of them without making it their problem, it draws them closer. It can bring him in with rather than repelling him. A man can express feeling as well in the right context. It makes him wildly more attractive and trustworthy than trying to guess. Because we'll fill in those blanks when we don't know what's going on with you emotionally, man. And it'll be a million times worse than what's actually going on if you don't let us know. So the first part is really letting ourselves embody and express feeling without putting it on someone else. The second part, what's the story behind the feeling? How am I identifying on this feeling, with this feeling? I am depressed, I am broken, I am, or you are doing this to me. I feel rejected. What's the story? What are we making it mean? A bet must be true. What are the words I'm saying? I'm depressed. I'm a nobody. I am. Powerful mantra. Where is this emotion trying to take you? What is it you're needing? What is it you're not seeing? And the third thing may sound a little bit spiritual bypassing, not meant to be overly self-reliant. What I'm trying to do here is this really important work of not bringing our feelings to someone else to process them for us. This is a big trap. This is where unskillful feeling, I would say, reveals itself the most in a relationship.
Can I ask a question, Steph, on that?
Yeah.
So as far as like what is the differentiation between being open and vulnerable and then like processing with somebody? Because sometimes I feel like I don't understand that definition.
If you need them to respond to your feeling a certain way to be good, you haven't processed it yet. If you don't have complete ownership of the feeling and you need a certain result or certain response from them, and you're not just able to say, this is what I feel, and own it completely and be completely like a puddle in front of them and confident in your acceptance of that feeling with yourself, but you're looking for some sort of approval or action for them to take for you to feel okay with having that feeling, you haven't processed it.
So what's the balance between something that's worthy of processing with somebody and what's not?
In this work, we don't really process with somebody. We practice feeling and seeing with equanimity, but we process in our solo practice. And we notice And in real time, if somebody seeing or feeling provokes an emotion with us, we show it. We can show it as yelling, as kicking, as screaming, but it's not at them. It's letting them witness how it moves us. It's not in the head.
But there are things that we process that we would actually take to our partner and say, I need this because I processed this and this is what I need, right?
Yeah, totally. It's not that you don't ask your partner for something, but you don't use feelings
I see.
as weapons. We use feelings to solve problems, right? And something like that could look like, I'm feeling these waves of depression in my spine every morning when I wake up and I feel like going back to sleep. And it feels like I'm longing to spend more time with you. I feel how much I'm missing you while you've been traveling lately.
Thanks, Steph. That helps. Sorry, we have kids that keep coming in front of the window. 8 of them here tonight. They keep putting notes up. And one of them was like, can I have a coconut Dr. Pepper? And we're just like, we're so distracted, but we appreciate you being here.
No problem.
Yeah, we did actually have that same question. And I said, well, we'll bring that question to you at our call, just like the processing versus feelings versus, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's scary to be that vulnerable. And, it's not, it's very human to want someone to comfort us. And so we are both willing to show our emotion and to give our partners comfort. It's not this like full self-reliant thing, but we keep our side of the road clear by processing and doing our internal work and coming to a place of trust with it and acceptance with it. When we bring it to them, such that they can lean into the experience with us. And that even if they don't right away, we're fully accepting of what it is we're experiencing. And we don't need them to do something with it. That we trust that they're going to get it. We trust that this is a space for love and truth to be there. We don't have a preconceived notion. We give them our sensitivity as a gift. Mary, did you have a question?
Yeah. I think I feel some confusion or resistance around this when it comes to my kids. Um, because for years we've kind of gone like the gentle parenting route and letting all the feelings be felt and all this stuff. And it's also getting to an age with like our oldest is 9, and then we have a 5 and 3-year-old, and their emotions are becoming more like just bigger. As I'm talking to you about this, I'm reflecting on conversations we've had around anger and recognizing that perhaps in not feeling my own anger and not knowing how to feel it all the way through, that they are embodying that to some extent. Yeah, but I do have this like, yes, allowing the feeling to be felt, and also like um also growing out of it. So it's not, I don't know if this is making sense.
Yeah, I kind of understand what you're saying, and I appreciate that a lot. What I can say, what it's sounding like to me, is first of all, our kids are wonderful mirrors, aren't they?
Mm.
They know how to see our Achilles heel, the thing that we're not willing to face, and to put it right up. I'm going to see how angry I can get you by showing how angry I am. And I know you have a problem with anger, so I'm going to just keep, and it's all unconscious, you know, I'm just going to keep showing you anger, every variety of anger, because it's the thing that you're shamed about. There are little teachers in this way. And so they're calling you to have a relationship with your anger, clearly, right? This is what they do, to look at your relationship, your suppression, your judgment of anger, which we all have. We all carry that around, right? Anger, if I'm angry, that means I'm violent. That means I'm out of control. That means I'm not a nice girl. That means I may be rejected if I show it. I will be alienated from the group. I will be the angry, difficult one. I better not show that. Anger equals destruction. But that's not true. The emotion of anger is one of the most powerful and beautiful acts of love, because it is coming out as a way of protecting what is innocent and good inside of us from being corrupted. It is a way that our body tells us, fuck no. You don't get to violate my sovereignty. So, creating a new relationship with our anger, where we track it, where we feel it, where we express it, where we don't feel guilty about it, is very different than expressing anger at someone as a form of manipulation and violence. There is a difference between expressing anger and rage as a declaration of sovereignty and a celebration of the passion inside of us and getting it out in a healthy way, and screaming without a target that we're trying to hit and hurt, than expressing anger as a weapon. Emotions aren't weapons. It's how we express them that becomes a weapon. How's that landing?
It's landing well. I think I'm just reprocessing like what you've shared about having a personal processing practice and then having like a clear request or a clear want from that. And um yeah, I think there's an element of follow through in that for me that I feel a little hazy around. But it's helpful like to feel this kind of ingraining deeper in my system of um,
Mhm.
experiencing the emotion all the way through. And I'm
Yes.
also experiencing like another understanding of the integration of the masculine and feminine with the feeler and seer, and how that can lead to creation. Like
Yes.
if one overrules the other, then it doesn't make it all the way through to fruition.
If one overrules the other, what do you mean by that?
Like if I allow myself to be ruled by my emotions and um, there's no containment or there's no witnessing to that or no attunement to that, then it just keeps me in loops. If I only stay in the witness or the masculine, then I become detached from my experience of life. But
Yes.
if I allow those two to meet one another, then the clear want or desire of life that wants to come through me can be experienced or brought to the surface. So I'm just, I guess, experiencing this like value of the practice of feeling and seeing in a deeper way.
This is not easy work. When we express a feeling, when we don't hide a feeling, it takes an amazing amount of work to also not become adversarial when the feeling isn't understood by our partner, and to just trust that we're okay with that partner not understanding it yet or being insecure about what we're feeling. And to get into this narrative of it's okay that I'm feeling what I'm feeling, regardless of how they respond to it. And I'm going to be okay with that. And this little change, this little shift, especially in Omega, helps the masculine partner actually be more okay with it, actually be more curious about it. Like I feel so much anger in my heart and my throat, and I want to scream this anger. Just saying, I'm going to let this thing blast me wide open. I'm in it. I'm here. I'm going to let you see it. And there's a way of doing that where you're just letting someone see it. And there's a way of doing that where you're saying, what are you going to do about it? And when we say it with, what are you going to do about it? We're becoming reactive. And we just practice, this is what the practice is, the deep breath, feeling the anger in the belly, the eye contact, the unguarded body. I feel so angry. Like, this is a version of anger that he can eventually make love to. Because you're surrendered to it. And, at the end of the day, what we are cultivating as seers and feelers in this practice is surrender. It's a surrendered state where we are in complete devotion to love, where we're not trying to control everything. Sometimes they're not going to understand us, and sometimes we're not going to understand them. And I just want to make the distinction that it's not always that important that we know or understand or intellectualize or analyze every feeling we have. That we can just let it pass. and this is the most courageous act of surrender, is just allowing to see and witness the part of us, to track and witness it again and again without trying to control and analyze and my wounds and for it to just see it. It just becomes normalized. And sometimes, when we have these feelings, the man in our life will be very reactive to it because they love us and they don't want to feel like they're hurting us. They take it personal. Doesn't want to feel responsible for you having a big negative emotion. It's just human nature, right? And the more somebody loves us, the more terrible they're going to feel about us having a big negative emotion that's impacting them, or that they're impacting us in a difficult way. It hurts them to know that they've hurt us. So when we don't identify as the feeling and we just simply express it, it can become this beautiful gift of allowing them to see the depth of our truth, and this dynamic that can just be a way of building trustworthiness. That, like, you're going to have these fluctuations, but you're not going to attack him. You're going to let him see it, and you're going to trust he's going to make the decision about it. Even if his first response is to be a little upset or feel bad. But when we identify as our misery, we reduce ourselves into this collapsed energy, and we become small. We can't invite somebody into that little tiny experience of our closure that way. So I hope this has been helpful. Any other questions?